You are afraid of Mondays, and from Tuesday to Thursday, you manage to survive. But on Friday, you're very joyous and excited because you're planning for your weekend. But on weekend, you might or might not enjoy, but you worry about your next work week. It's a cycle that repeats and never stops. When you can't fully present in the moment and worry about the future, it's called stress. Stress is thinking about the circumstances that might or might not happen, and you feel that pressure, and it's the root cause of most illness, be it mental or physical. When you are mentally and physically ill, you breed anxiety and depression. But here's the thing, it's not really Mondays, Fridays, or Saturdays. The real problem is work. Work is the real problem. When you feel bored or overwhelmed, or when you don't feel joy or excitement in the work, you get stressed because you have so much of unfinished tasks and you don't want to take accountability of the tasks you don't like. When there are unfinished tasks you have in your mind, you cannot be in the present moment because you worry about the work. There's so much of burden sitting on your head. So when you're stressed, you welcome so many problems in your life. So when you don't work on what you love, you don't have focus. When you don't have focus, every other aspect in your life pulls your attention, drains out your energy. Then what's the solution? The solution is work. If the problem is work, the solution should be work as well. You see, most of our problems are mental problems. Either we dwell on past regrets and suffer, or we imagine and worry about the future and we fear about it. So it's like we dance between the past and the future. These are the most of the mental problems we have. We never be in the present moment. And if we can do that, being in the present moment, we can avoid so many problems in our life. But it's not that easy, but there's a way. So for this to happen, you need to get into flow state. When you are in flow state, you forget yourself. And that flow state is the meditation. And when you are in that flow state, you forget your problems, you forget yourself. You tap the ultimate consciousness. And you don't dance between past and future. And at that point, the only thing that matters to you the most is your work. When you don't think about your past and you don't worry about your future, which you can't do in either of these things, you put full stop for your sufferings. So how do we get that flow state? To get that flow state, you need to figure out what you love. Do what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. Naval Ravikant. You might be tired of hearing this, it might be sounding cinematic, but it is the truth that is often overlooked in our society. There is a thing like we can do what we love, we can monetize on what we love, we can live on what we love doing for the rest of the life, but it is often overlooked aspect in our lives. Oxen work until they can, following orders. Unlike oxen, we are educated. Education gives us freedom, the ability to choose work we love, problems we enjoy solving. It liberates us, it separates us from animals. At most people work like oxen. They are bound by the tasks they hate. They are trapped in a lack of freedom that breeds suffering. And I'm really sick of hearing about retirement plans because I always think, does a plant stop blossoming? No, it never stops blossoming. It blossoms until it dies. Then why do we humans have retirement plans? Are we going to stop eating? Are we going to stop loving? Are we going to stop having entertainment after a certain age? No, not at all. But why do we have retirement for work? Because many have been forced to work without joy for so long and wanted to escape, and they figured out something like retirement and it became a norm for societies. So my perspective is, if you are passionate about something, you can work until your last breath. Do what you love and you will never work a day in your life. I've spent years figuring out what I truly love because there is no such thing as established framework or developed framework that we can figure out what we can truly love. But along my journey, I figured out how to figure out our passion. This will definitely help you, which you can directly use that framework and figure out what you truly love. So the framework has three things. First thing is curiosity, second thing is interest, and the third thing is passion. CIP. Since childhood, we are exposed to only a few things that are unfamiliar to us, and there will be gap in understanding when we see the things. Suppose when you see your siblings watching a football or a cricket, and it intrigues curiosity in you, and you don't know the rules, but they're enjoying it. You want to know the rules of the game. So that's what curiosity means. It sparked a strong urge you to know about that thing, but you have a gap in that knowledge. It feels so exciting at the beginning. So when you search for that gap to understand and when you look for that, you get interest. And that's the second part, interest. As you learn, you start liking it, you gain confidence and you gain understanding. Your interest deepens even if you haven't filled all the gaps in your knowledge. Here's the third thing. We all have interests. Like I have like more than 5 interests and we should be having more than 10 interests. But the thing is, we all have interests, but we never develop those interests and convert that into passion. To know your passion, you need to develop your interests. This is the main transition. When we develop those interests, we get a certain feedback, we get results, we get positive outcomes, and this fuels your desire. And exactly at this point, when you hit the dopamine, you are clutched with that specific thing. You're clutched with that specific skill. You crave more dopamine. You want to level up more and more, and you want to go even more, even better. And that's where you practice even more. You practice deliberately, where you get positive feedback, and people around you will give you feedback. And for them, it feels like you're working effortlessly. And for the same thing, people need to put more effort in working at the same thing because because first thing, you have curiosity and interest, and you might be naturally good at that. And above all, you are practicing that deliberately. When you practice that deliberately, though it might seem effortless to the people, it has a lot of effort behind it. And that's where you get the passion is nothing but you have a burning desire. Passion is nothing but you burn for a specific thing till your last breath. And that's how you figure out your passion. And when you're passionate, you get into the flow state. Every time you sit and work, you don't feel like you're working, you feel like it's playing. And the best thing is, you don't have any holidays because the work itself feels like a holiday. You don't see Monday and Sunday as separate things. Every day seems same to you because you're playing. When you're playing, you are very joyous, and when you're playing, you're not serious. You are sincere. You'll be very enthusiastic. You will be continuously learning, and you don't need 10 productivity hacks for that one. You can just directly dive into the game and play naturally. So start reflecting on what sparked your curiosity and what were your interests. What are the interests you buried down, and what are the interests you haven't developed? What is the feedback you get so far at its best? Bring them back, work on them, and remember, you don't need to quit what you're doing right now. You just need 30 to 60 minutes of your time so that you can figure out what you love and you can figure out your passion. Follow your curiosity, develop your interests, and figure out your passion. That's the simple framework. CIP. Signing off, Shiva Mollity.